Dickie Greenleaf?
Who's that?
It's Tom. Tom Ripley.
Tom Ripley?
We were at Princeton together.
Okay. Did we know each other?
Hello. Well, I knew you, so I suppose you must have known me.
Princeton's like a fog. America's like a fog. This is Marge Sherwood. Tom, sorry, what is it?
Ripley.
How do you do?
How do you do, Marge?
What are you doing in Manji?
Nothing. Nothing much. Just passing through.
Passing through?
Yeah.
You're so white. Did you ever see a guy so white, Marge? Gray, actually.
It's just an undercoat.
Say again?
You know, a primer.
That's fun. Margie likes that because she's so white.
Yes, I do, and you're not funny. Well, you should come and have lunch with us before you go. Yes?
Sure, anytime.
Well, coincidence.
I don't remember this. It's so funny.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
You've been waiting to get to this movie.
I
for a
have.
while.
We have a giant poster of this movie in our bedroom.
Oh, that's true. We do.
Yeah.
We do. I love it.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Indeed. Me too. Well, everybody listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay. Fun movie.
We got
Is
to
it a downer?
another movie from 1999.
Yes.
The Talented Mr. Ripley,
Yes,
directed
indeed.
by Anthony Minghella, with our friend Michael Morgan. Welcome back on. It's so good to see you.
Hi. Welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I always kind of come in on these kind of darker, more difficult titles.
Yeah.
But why not?
Hey.
I mean, I feel like I was just throwing out some movies with you once about to do, and I mentioned The Talented Mr. Ripley, or we were about to record it with my friend Josh, and it fell through, and you mentioned just how much you love this movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen it several times.
I mean, I think that we're both Ripley experts up in here.
Yeah, it's. I like to say it's the first time I felt seen on camera. On film.
Oh, my
Tom
God.
Ripley.
Definitely
as a young high schooler.
Definitely like 15-year-old Scott had some feelings watching this movie.
Wow.
But
yeah.
before we get too into it,
Yeah.
I mentioned it in our introductions, but this is another movie from 1999.
Yes, indeed.
So to list all the movies that we've done in 1999, The Mummy, Dick, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Never Been Kissed, The Matrix, Go, and Cruel Intentions, and Talented Mr. Ripley is number 8.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a lot. I mean, what do they say about 1999? It's like...
I mean, it was just a really good year for studio films.
That is what they say. Yeah, no, there was a lot of great movies that year. I remember specifically seeing almost all of those in the theater.
A lot of good
times.
original movies. You really didn't see sort of superhero movies all that much in the year 1999 that just dominate the release schedules now. I mean, The Mummy, The Matrix, huge moments in pop culture.
Yeah.
So for the beginning of the show, I wanted to play a little game.
Oh, a game.
So,
I
okay,
love games.
so I'm going to quiz you with all of these movies and shout out of what you think the answer is for what movie I'm talking about.
Okay.
What movie that I just listed came out first?
Ooh.
Oh, my God. There's so many. I can't remember.
I would go... I know The Mummy's summer. Matrix was April. I don't know why I know that.
Yeah, The Matrix was a spring release.
I don't know that. Maybe I'll say Dick.
Dick was August of 99. Close.
Okay. So what are the other options? I don't even
We got
remember.
Go, Drop Dead
Gotta write 'em
Gorgeous, and Cruel Intentions.
Go seems like... I feel like Go was kind of more like, air quotes, indie. So I don't know. Maybe, I'm going to say Go.
Wrong.
Was it The Matrix?
Nope.
What was it?
It was Cruel Intentions.
Oh, was that like
Released-
a January dump?
No, it was a March movie, so it was sort of going into spring break.
Okay.
Which of these movies that we've mentioned or are covering today came out last? What was the tail end of 99?
Oh, absolutely. Ripley.
Yep, it was a Christmas release of
Yeah.
99. What was the Sundance movie of all of those? What debuted at Sundance?
Go? Was it Go?
That's
Yep,
my guess.
it was Go.
Ah, okay.
Sarah Polly is in it. It had to be Sundance.
Yeah,
What-
that's
yeah,
what I was
exactly.
thinking. Yeah.
What movie had the highest opening weekend gross?
Ooh,
The
The Matrix.
Maybe The Mummy, though.
Yeah, The Mummy might have.
Or The Matrix.
I feel like Matrix was more sleeperish. But I don't
Yes,
know.
you're right. So
Yeah.
we'll go with The Mummy.
You're right. It was The Mummy, and I believe that The Mummy did break some weekend records. It opened over 43 million.
Wow.
Which of the
good
movies
for
that we've
today.
covered in 99 had the lowest gross in its entire theatrical run?
Again,
I'm going to go back to Go, yeah.
Nope.
Oh,
Go was
wow.
sort of a sleeper hit movie.
Dick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dick.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Not a lot of people saw Dick in the theater, and
Yeah.
followed by Drop Dead Gorgeous, and that made over 10 million.
Okay. Yeah, Drop Dead Gorgeous, I feel like, was not a huge hit.
What movie made the most in its theatrical run?
Oh, The Matrix, for sure.
Matrix, 465 million worldwide, followed by The Mummy at 415.
Yeah, I was
so
going to
they
say
were
it had to
very
be
close
neck and
together.
neck with those two.
Now we're going to get into some MTV Movie Awards questions
Ooh.
because I am obsessed with all of the showings of the MTV Movie Awards that we've found on YouTube last year. They're so much fun to watch. Listeners, look all of them up. They should be on YouTube in their entirety. What movies from this list were nominated for Best Kiss?
Oh, Cruel
Cruel
Intentions.
Intentions, for sure. Yeah.
There's another one.
There's one more. The Mummy.
Nope.
Was there a kiss in Dick? No.
The Matrix.
Oh, the Go. There's a gay kiss, right?
Nope.
Is that what it was?
Ghost should have been nominated.
Not The Matrix either?
Nope.
He doesn't kiss Trinity?
I don't. That movie's pretty kissless.
It's our one Drew movie of our list.
Never Been Kissed?
Never Been Kissed. Drew and Michael Vartan. Who from our 1999 list were nominated for Best Male Performance?
I think maybe Ripley got a nomination.
This is MTV Movie Awards.
Yep.
Okay.
Did
So not Dan Hedaya. From Dan.
No. Should have been nominated.
It's either going to be Keanu or
Keanu or maybe
Brendan Fraser.
Keanu is one of them.
Okay.
Who do you think the second one was?
Did Jude Law get nominated?
Nope.
No.
I'm going Brendan Fraser.
Nope.
Cruel Intentions had one.
Oh,
It's Ryan Phillippe. Keanu Reeves won.
Yeah.
What won Best Movie at the MTV Movie Awards?
I would
Ooh.
assume The Matrix.
The
It was The
Matrix,
Matrix.
yeah.
Yep. Who got the most Oscar nominations of this group?
Ripley.
Ripley got 5.
Ripley.
wow.
Signor Ripley.
Best Supporting Actor for Jude Law, Costumes by Anne Roth, Score, Adapted Screenplay, and Art Direction.
Can we just talk about the costumes for an hour and a half?
So good.
I'm sure we will.
Even though The Matrix got 4 nominations and won all 4 in its tech category.
Oh,
Right,
that
they-
makes
yeah.
sense.
And I remember it
won a
sort
lot.
of being, not really a big deal, but I remember thinking so you're going to give all 4 wins to The Matrix, but you can't put that in Best Picture?
Right.
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
it's like a genre biased.
Well, that was also the era of only 5 Best Picture.
Yeah.
It would have definitely.
I
had
also
a
think
nomination.
in 10, I still think The Matrix would have had trouble cracking that
Wow,
10.
You think
wow.
so?
I think
don't
that
know.
Academy members at that time were that biased
They,
about
at that
genre
time,
bias.
but now they would they would nominate anything that grosses over
Also true, yeah.
And I think that Ripley was probably pretty close to that Best Picture nomination, and also a nomination for Matt too.
Well, yeah, because it got 5. You said. I mean, that was the height of the Weinstein powers,
Yes.
where they could really
He was probably just outside of that 5. All right, so last question: what movie only got 1 Oscar nomination of this list? Just got a 1 tech nomination.
The Mummy.
It was The Mummy.
Yeah, if those tech
It was The Mummy. I mean, those effects at the time.
It was nominated
were
for Best Sound.
Wow, that's all.
Yep.
Interesting.
So that was our little 1999 game.
That's fun. I mean, those are all great. Those are movies that when they are on,
oh yeah,
you're the USA Network.
You're sitting down and watching.
I'm watching them with commercials. And
Wow, yeah, totally.
and just living my life because I can watch any of those.
Yeah, like you said,
yeah.
Spider-Man came out in 2001, and that kind of changed the landscape.
2002
Or
yeah.
two.
Or I mean, even X-Men the following year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even that at the time was like a little bit not sleepy, but it wasn't. It was like Katy Perry. Like, yes, you're successful, but you're not like changing pop culture.
Yeah, I felt it got a lot of like Matrix ripoff backlash.
Yes,
too.
I think that happened, and I even believe that they like reshot parts of X-Men to be more Matrix-like.
Sure.
Oh, love it. I love that.
None of that gay comic book
stupid.
crap.
Right.
I remember being in a 7-Eleven and seeing the Entertainment Weekly cover, and it's like Famke Johnson, Hugh Jackman, and the other one, and seeing the costumes and being like, "Oh no, they didn't."
Right.
They went with this weird black.
It like Matrixy, like it's got to be sort of like dark and
too weird, especially for X-Men.
And now, like God, it's like canary yellow, blue. It's like any color scheme.
They're really leaning into it.
Yeah.
Well,
but we're here today to talk about the talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
Kind of the more prestige movie to come out at the end of 99.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Minghella was just coming off of his success with The English Patient with Miramax. And this is kind of the height of the Miramax dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
They were just coming off of their Best Picture win with Shakespeare in Love. They got Paltrow a Best Actress Oscar for
the crown jewel of the Miramax empire.
I
Gwyneth
mean,
Paltrow.
it was just
sliding doors.
Their stable of stars with being...
They all kind of... Well, except for... No, Matt Damon was Good Will Hunting.
Yep. Yeah.
I guess Jude Law wasn't, but he was still like a foreign import, and Miramax sort of specialized in that. Like when we introduce a foreign star, we're like, responsible for making stars out of foreigner.
I was reading today that Minghella kind of wrote the role for Law when seeing dailies for a movie called The Wisdom of Crocodiles in 98. So that was just
I love The Wisdom of Crocodiles.
As a baby
Never
gay,
even heard of it.
Truly, I was obsessed with Jude Law.
Weren't we all though?
Oh, yeah.
I had the Vanity Fair,
Jeez.
the like May 2000 Vanity Fair, and
Yeah.
I had already at this point seen a bunch of his films, and he was a huge draw for me to go and see this in the theater.
So when did you first see this movie?
I saw it theatrically with a group of friends, and funny enough, they all hated it when we got out of the theater. And I mean, obviously, this is a small town in Northern California. It's like 16, 17-year-olds. They were, it's not a movie that really plays to that crowd, even though we all sort of were on board with the idea of like a thriller with hot young people in a foreign location. But when you watch this film, it's pretty. I wouldn't say it's art house, but it's certainly like
it's borderline.
It's kind of like a mainstream Fellini movie.
And for me as a kid, I was watching it and loving it for lots of reasons. It could have been terrible. I mean, I think it's a genuinely good film, but I would have loved it. So I had to sort of temper my reaction as well, because again, I was like,
yeah, totally.
I wasn't out yet. Right. Although I was, even at that point, I was sort of out to my very close girlfriends. Right. The very, we would trade secrets, like, I'm gay, and she'd be like, I had sex. And that was, considered the, same level of taboo. Yeah. She was like, I remember I had this friend.
I gave a blowjob
who,
once.
when I came out to her, she's like, well, I've had sex. And that was her, dark secret. And she had made her boyfriend, drive multiple towns over to buy condoms because she was worried that anybody could see him buying condoms.
Then they would know. Yeah,
that's like small town.
That's crazy.
Drama.
That's crazy.
I mean, she doesn't want that Scarlet A.
I thought she was going to drive 2 towns over to get a hotel room too.
That would have actually. No, she was. I think it was probably in a pickup truck.
Right. Yeah. Scott, when did you see this movie?
I saw this movie probably winter of 2000 with my parents.
Oh,
I went to this movie with my parents. And I just remember sitting in the theater and that bathtub scene. I just remember
which one
blowing 15-year-old Scott's mind.
Yeah, I would have been deeply uncomfortable.
I had never seen anything, and it was probably one of those things that I was that young of a teenager that probably the faggotry of this movie went a little over my head, but I knew that something was up. Mm-hmm. And I remember my stepdad, great guy, mentioning it on our car ride home of how much he liked the movie and that Tom's character was gay. And I'm just like, what? You caught on to that too? But yeah, and then I got a tape of it and would just watch it all the time. I would pause it right on that scene where Jude Law stands up in the bathtub,
Mm-hmm.
and you can sort of see that dick outline,
Yeah, I mean,
like
it's very
forever radicalized by the talented Mr. Ripley,
erotique. And that was a daring move for an actor to do.
and especially
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a huge movie star at that time that Matt Damon took a role like this.
That is, yes, I do agree. But he is also, the movie's kind of modern. It's not really like pathologizing his gayness. It's sort of just like exists there. It is like that weird line of like, do I want to be him? Do I want to sleep with him?
Do I
Yeah,
want to fuck him? Do I just want his money?
Yeah.
Because when you watch Purple
Which is
Noon,
relatable.
when you
Right.
watch Purple Noon, which was the 1960s adaptation of this, the character of Tom, played by Alan Delon, more just wants Dickie's money. Like he's
Right.
very straight. They don't lean
Right.
into the homosexual aspects of the book
Right.
because that's all subtext of the book,
Right.
as well. That Anthony just really leans into
Yeah.
when he did this adaptation.
Yeah.
And that's good because it brings a lot of flavor to the film. One of my favorite scenes is the queer shame scene. I have to cover my eyes where he's really queening out in the bedroom, playing that, I don't know what he's playing, and he's in Dickie's clothes, and that scene is just
yeah.
He's
Oh,
lip
that's a
syncing
lot.
along to a record.
that is like still an open wound for me.
You should revisit the Purple Noon scene of that because he's more just talking to himself in the mirror.
Yeah. They're playing it more like, okay.
That it's more just Tom is just in love with himself.
Okay.
Right.
Peter, when did you first see this movie?
I must have just rented it because I definitely did not see this in the theater. And I remember all of the hype surrounding it. You know, I remember all of the, I talk about being a big Entertainment Tonight, person. And I loved watching the news magazine shows, although at this point it was probably Extra. So I was probably watching
Extra.
And they
Yeah.
did probably make a big deal that Matt Damon probably
Well, the whole thing was
went
that
to like a twink frame.
I wouldn't even go that far. He lost weight, but even for him, I don't think Matt Damon ever had a twink phase. And probably, who probably covered this a lot, latched onto this shit, was Steve Kometko over at E with his diamond earring.
Yeah,
just
that's about right.
I'm going to cover this story. The whole thing was Matt Damon, green Speedo, lost all this weight, playing this sexually ambiguous character, and even in '99, I think it was not even in '99, especially at that time, it was still very much like, well, what a brave choice for Matt Damon.
Brave.
Exactly.
Playing this character, and
He's playing unlikable.
yeah, well, not only unlikable,
Yep.
he's clearly in love with this dude. And so I remember all of that and just all the interviews being all about that and Extra talking about, the weight loss and everything and being kind of intrigued by that. Jude Law, I mean, come on, get out of here with this face.
Just
So
shot like
of
the Greek god Adonis in this movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Jude Law had already at this point played gay 900 times. So
right.
this was actually
Wasn't it-
wow, he's playing straight.
Wasn't
and that's a challenge.
Moonlight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
This
Right?
is after that.
Yeah.
This is after he was in the Oscar Wilde
the
movie.
Wild movie. Yeah.
And then I think there was another one too that he did.
Yeah. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil for sure. Wild for sure.
That one. Yeah. And then he had done Gattaca. So he was
Yeah. And Gattaca had,
I think this is considered his star turn. This
for
has
sure.
introduced him to American audiences.
This is the one that got him his Oscar nomination.
This is the role you want as an up-and-coming actor.
Yeah.
Or you do want Ripley as well, but again, the way Mangala makes it and shoots it and frames it, it's you need to have the object of beauty be Jude Law. And it's weird because Matt Damon is somewhat attractive.
Yeah.
And even their idea of uglifying him is a little Ugly Betty, she's all that, where they're put frames on him, but he's still buff and eating 60 grams of protein a day. And, but it's weird because the more it goes on, the more you're he's frumpy. Because you're just looking at Jude Law and Gwyneth Paltrow and
we were
impeccably
just
styled.
dissecting Matt Damon's profile that he just looks like an ogre compared to Jude Law and
Doonesbury.
Paltrow. And it's funny because it's like we're talking about Matt Damon, like clearly someone who is very handsome.
His face is very angular.
Yeah.
It's just there's lots of harsh angles on his face.
But it works for the character.
Well,
of Tom.
also what I thought about as I'm watching this movie is they're doing a thing that's very similar to Gattaca, where he has to look enough like him like Dickie to pass for him. Like people who have a passing knowledge of who Dickie Greenleaf is as a person, they're like, oh yeah, okay, you could be Dickie. Because I was thinking, well, maybe Philip Seymour Hoffman might have been in another universe. Could he have played Tom Ripley?
Yeah.
But people wouldn't have bought
that's so
him
true.
as Dickie. You know, with the weird, like, that passport picture, which, I mean, it's the same photographer who took the passport picture for Gattaca, because it's like, there's like some weird morphing going on. That is not Jude Law's
wasn't
face.
either of them.
Yeah. It's like they did the thing, like the fashion plates, and they took like eyes, nose, and a chin, and like made a new face out of it.
I feel like I've read too that for Matt Damon, they did make him wear like a weird mouth prosthetic, or they did something to make his mouth
jaw
more a little like not horsey-ish, but like they did something.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They did, and if you even the lighting by the end of the film, he's lit so that like all his like moles and freckles are suddenly gone, and like the hair is frosted, and he's suddenly like he's very glamorous towards the end when he's at his most evil.
Yeah,
which is how it should be.
Oh, of course.
Have you ever read the book?
No.
I have read the book, I've listened to it on audio, and I'm currently re-listening to it on Audible.
Who's reading it? I need a name.
I don't know. It's a really good narrator, but it's a pretty good adaptation. I won't go too into, because like nobody wants to listen to me just being like, that's not in the book. But it's a pretty solid adaptation of the material. Like, Minghella really fleshes it out. He adds some new characters. The Peter character, I do not believe is in the book, and also Meredith is not in the book, played by Cate Blanchett.
Which I admire. Yeah. I'm like a little of that opinion now that we're too faithful to the book, and the book is like, they treat it like fundamentalist Christian readings of the Bible, where it's like, you cannot stray, even though they're different mediums and different things work, and both those characters, when you really analyze it they really just... The craft of it, it's like, well, yes, you need this character to do that.
Yes,
and
and Meredith fits so well into the narrative of the story because she kind of drives it at times.
Meredith, yeah. And so, she's a more harmless version of Ripley. Everybody in the film sort of leading. Not everybody's leading a double life, but a lot of these characters are not who they say they are.
It's one of the themes. Trying to escape your past.
Everybody's pretending to be something they're not.
Yes. And I love the way that Cate Blanchett plays this character.
Yeah.
Because she is doing that thing of that she kind of like, she knows all these people in this social circle, but it's like, does she know them? And she's like, oh, of course I do. Everybody kind of plays at this thing where they're putting on this ruse in front of other people. And there were moments where I was like, okay, Dickie's a really bad actor in front of so-and-so, but he gets better in front of, he's kind of not that great of an actor in front of, who do I have it?
You mean Tom?
Tom, you're already like,
you're already
succumbing to the mind fuck of the film.
He was kind of a bad actor with Marge, like before, before he like kills Freddy or whatever. But then when the cops come in and it becomes more of a thing, it's like, okay, he really starts buying into it. But Cate Blanchett's acting with, the people that she knows in the social circles and all of that. It's very interesting the way they play it.
I'm Meredith, by the way.
Hello, Dickie.
Meredith Randall.
Dickie Greenleaf.
Hello. You're not the shipping Greenleaf.
Oh, trying not to be. Trying to jump ship.
Did they put your cases in the wrong pile? It's just that you were at the R stand. I thought I saw you there.
My father wants me back in New York. He builds boats. I'd rather sail them. So I travel under my mother's name.
Which is...
Emily. I'm just kidding.
The funny thing is, I'm not Randall either. I'm Logue.
As in...
As in the textile lobes. Trying to shrug off the dress. I travel under my mother's name, too.
Randall.
Right.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's like a hungry, thirsty. She's sort of like a B-list actress trying to become A-list.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of a personality. Just
Yeah.
And also the type of woman that would probably fall in love with a gay man.
Meredith.
And you said that she had already done Elizabeth at this point?
She was just coming off of her Oscar nomination.
Louise.
She was in the same category with Paltrow. And Paltrow won for Shakespeare in Love. But Elizabeth was a huge deal for her. And I just remember also being really invested on Cate's climb to the A-list. Especially sort of the following years after when she was in the Lord of the Rings movies. They put her in a lot of big prestige, let's get Cate an Oscar
Didn't she
movies.
get an Oscar nom for the Elizabeth sequel as well?
I think
Of course.
she did, yeah.
That's really...
But isn't that movie supposed to be not great?
That one's...
And she has that
I
great
haven't even seen it.
and she has that great drag queen monologue.
Yeah.
I too can command the wind, sir! I have a hurricane in me that will strip Spain bare if you dare to try me!
I mean, again, if there were any set I wish I could go back, time travel, and be on, I would want to be on this set. Like, to be around all these actors, like...
I want to hear their
young,
time in their
glamorous,
careers.
I want to
Yeah.
hear their small talk with like Paltrow right before they're going to film some
Like,
scene out in front of the Spanish Steps.
do you think they were like having Sambuca after a long day? And because we don't, I mean, they did shoot on location, but as we've all said, that takes place in a fictional Italian town.
Yeah. That there's a scene where what is Cate Blanchett's character's name?
Meredith.
Meredith is talking to Tom, who she thinks is Dickie, and she says that line about like, when you grow up rich, you have to surround yourself with rich people
who hate being
who
rich.
hate being rich and who hate money. And I'm just like, Paltrow like is reading her script and just like, and next scene.
I mean, she was like, wow, this is about me.
This documentary that I'm in.
I know. I do. I think Gwyneth Paltrow kind of does, in real life, embody this kind of social circle,
Sure.
except,
Yes.
30 or 40 years later.
Right, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this movie's wild. I hadn't seen it in years, by the way.
I know, when we all
Yeah.
just watched it right before, and we were like closing our eyes and reciting dialogue. For Pete,
I know this movie.
Peter was gagged and gooped.
Yeah, I'm
and we
sitting
kept
here
saying
like-
gooped whenever Gwyneth would have like a strong monologue. Because it's such an actor showcase. Like everybody gets like a monologue or a scene or a chance to really shine and shoot things up. They all do. And they all do it. They all really, it's like an excellent, like a drag review where everybody like comes out and does their number and like nails their mark.
Everybody carries their weight.
Yeah, there really isn't a weak link.
And the funny thing is that like Gwyneth with Goop and all that stuff, and it's like every time I see her in something, I'm just like, I love her. She's great. But then when when you read
the interview,
Goop stuff,
you're
it's
like, I hate this person.
We talked about
one.
on our Sliding Doors episode that I think that people confuse not liking her as a person with thinking that she's a bad actress.
because she's really good.
Because she is good. She's like
Yeah.
natural. She embodies the role.
Yes.
She's not like annoyingly overacting or underacting.
And also, kind of when you look through Paltrow's IMDb, she doesn't really feel overexposed because she doesn't work all that much.
No. If anything, like she's not working hardly at all anymore. She's like in Marvel movies for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Is it called Goop because like her initials?
I don't know the origin behind
Gwyneth,
it.
Olivia, Octavia.
We have to have
Paltrow.
some-
No, I just made
that would be Goop.
I wish her middle names were Olivia Octavia Paltrow.
Olivia.
We have to have some Goop followers that listen to the show. Send us a DM if they know why she
And
calls
as
it
we were
Goop.
commenting, I mean, when you watch this, Marge lives the Goop lifestyle.
Yeah.
She's like
Yes, she
picking
does.
lemons fresh from the vine in the open Tuscany air. Just like all her like fresh linens and like tablecloths and clothing. Everything is like.
And I like that she has
The ice
a complete rich bitch wardrobe that she goes to Rome and Paris with.
yeah, and she shows up with a look, even when she's in like deep anguish and mourning, and
A piquant for animal prints.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, this is a deep cut, but the Gwyneth Paltrow, the Gwen Stefani solo album. There's a song called "Cool."
Yes, we know Cool.
The video? Yep.
All this shit.
It's like this.
But she's got brown hair in the video. Well, she's got brown hair when she's dating the guy, and then in the present, when she has him come over with his new hot piece.
To show time has passed.
Yes, she's got the platinum.
I mean, I'm sure that
Stefani
Goopy
hair.
probably gave her that idea.
Love it. Yeah, so good. This whole movie is shot like a fragrance commercial.
Yes.
Yes.
A music video, all
a perfume
that
ad,
stuff. Yeah.
everything.
Vanity Fair.
Yes, photo shoots. I'm just getting Call Me By Your Name, just flashbacks as I'm watching these scenes. Except because this is a period movie, it's set in the 50s. They do a really good job of having like Madeline and the nuns walking behind them, and Father Guido Salducci just in the background. Just I love all the Catholicism just peppered throughout.
Because I've seen it 1,000,001 times, I was really gluing my eyeballs in the background and studying that, and it all looked really convincing.
I always kind of try to look for things that read the year that they shot this movie. This was probably just shot in late 98
I love doing that
early
too.
99,
Yeah.
and I really couldn't find anything.
Well, I have one or two. I mean, again, like we said, Gwen's hair coloring. I mean, it looks great, but it was very it was a nice dye job.
You don't think that they could have gotten that shade of blonde in the 50s?
I mean, a natural blonde.
I don't think they were doing that balayage highlight in the 50s.
But even Marilyn's hair color would have been more white.
What else, too? I would say... No, I think they did do a good job. Tom Ripley's look, oddly, is in it. It was sort of fashionable even 10 years ago. The frames or his look in general, it's sort of hipster chic.
Yeah.
Tom,
yeah,
he almost was probably more preferable in style to then Jude Law was truly of the 50s.
Yeah.
He was really of that moment.
We mentioned at the top of the show that Anne Roth did these costumes, and Anne Roth, I think that kind of she works with Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep a lot.
Well, she just won.
She just won for Ma Rainey,
right?
And
didn't show up.
Didn't even bother to
booked
show
and
up.
Busy.
Yeah.
She was like, "Nope, it's at Union Station. I'm good. I'm not gonna."
Her and Anthony Hopkins.
I'm
were just having
112 years old. I'm not gonna I've won this award 900 times. I wonder. I mean, she should have won for this. I would look up and if I was gonna crusade for justice, this film needs to win an award. It would be costume.
Do you want to know who won for costumes in 99? Let me look it up because you're going to eat your words when you find out this.
I don't know. I think I still will prefer Ripley. That lime green Speedo deserves to be in the Smithsonian.
Anne Roth only has 2 Oscars.
Okay, for
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and The English Patient. Out of 5 nominations.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Very interesting. She was nominated in 1984 for Places in the Heart. 1996, English Patient, and won. 99, Talented Mr. Ripley. 2002, The Hours.
Oh, that's the Meryl.
Come on. And Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yeah.
Wow, so that is shocking that she went that long between nominations and wins. Is 02 to 21.
Oh, yeah. The winner is Topsy Turvy, a Mike Levy movie. Give it to Anne
Get
Roth.
out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers Topsy Turvy.
I was going to say, I thought that it was Colleen Atwood for Sleepy Hollow. But she was also iced out of that win.
Was it the same year?
It was the same year.
That was a competitive year. Because Topsy Turvy, I'll tell you this, though. That movie turns out the costumes as well. But it's a little too... I guess Talented is, period pieces.
Right.
The Academy's a sucker for them. And the farther back it goes, the more likely it is to win. So, if it's 1900s, that's a foregone conclusion.
Oh, right. The further back then.
The era that they're depicting, the more likely they'll give it to it.
Interesting. I never saw Topsy Turvy.
I never saw it either.
It's Mike Lee, who is one of my favorite filmmakers, but only... I don't really like when he does period. I like when he's doing modern working class kitchen sink English.
I just saw the runtime of Mr. Turner and I was like, no,
thank you. That's another period one, yeah.
Oh,
I
boy.
just got Secrets and Lives on Criterion.
Love Secrets. That was like one of the first things when I downloaded HBO now or Max. It's like, and you know that they're studying all their consumers. Like, what's their like first title they're watching, and like they see that I'm putting like Secrets and Lives, and then I think I watched another Stakeout. So like,
They're like,
my
this is a-
algorithm
oh,
is
this is
they're
a-
like,
this
who
is
is
this is a middle-aged
This is a
homosexual sad
queen.
male.
This is he's single.
Oh my god! Another Stakeout?
I don't know why.
Rosie
I just
O'Donnell?
yes, that's why I clicked it. I mean, but it's just funny because I saw it. I think
man.
it was in the early stages too, where you know the longer these streaming sites are up, the better they get. But they're still just listing stuff
Yeah.
alphabetically,
Yes,
so it was
yeah.
like another Stakeout. Like that's what I'm seeing when I click on movies.
Oh my
A
gosh.
N
Did
Paramount Plus is still doing that.
They
when I go
are.
there, I'm like
They're
alphabetical,
and it's in a line. It's not even a,
I know,
a
and you're
grid.
like,
it's like a
alright.
single line. Oh, terrible! Are you sure you didn't mistake another Stakeout? Maybe you thought it was Exit to Eden.
I don't. I mean, that would have been a. I wouldn't even be ashamed to have clicked on that.
Rosie O'Donnell's erotic thriller
in her
slash comedy
in her BDSM look.
Yeah. This movie starts off right out the gate, giving us some like Matt Damon. It's giving me some like hints of what's the one that he won the writing
Goodwill,
Oscar?
Goodwill Hunting. It is, yeah. Like he's playing the piano. He's in a
Yeah.
Princeton jacket.
He's in
on top
profile.
of a roof. There's like a classy opera show going on.
I love that we start off on Dickie Greenleaf's parents, and
Yeah.
we don't see Dickie, right? But I love the fact that Dickie's mother is
Obsessed.
this glamorous, like
We never know her illness.
No.
She's in a wheelchair. It's
Mystery,
probably like
yes.
fibromyalgia or like some rich lady. It's like very like rich lady disease. Like
Yeah.
she probably just has the vapors. She's
Right.
not even like sick. She's just like in a wheelchair. And they reference it a second time.
They do, yeah.
And that was like perked my interest as well. But that was as far as it went. And maybe it does mislead you to think, oh, maybe that's why he's escaped America to like not have to deal with his mother.
his infirm mother. She was giving me very much like the mom in Poison Ivy.
Sure.
Oh,
Just like
very similar.
tragic, rich lady disease.
Cheryl Ladd
Like, what do I
character?
have? Yeah. But yeah, I was just like immediately
Richness
obsessed.
has made me sick. That's like my favorite. One of my favorite film premise.
Yeah. I mean, Meredith is on her way to this to this mystery illness.
So they assume that Tom Ripley went to Princeton because he was wearing a jacket with a
Yeah.
Princeton logo, which sure, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then they ask him to do them a favor and go track down their incorrigible young son who's just fled to Italy with his girlfriend and won't come back and grow up and be an adult and face reality
Take
and
over the family
responsibility.
business of-
Yes.
A shipping company. They build boats.
Shipping
Yeah.
magnate. Yeah, right off the bat, you're just thrown into this world of these people are this rich that the son is living off his family money in a different country and will not come home. And they're so rich that they're going to just give money to this stranger, $1,000
Yeah.
in the 50s.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, to just straight up go over.
And he will be getting $5,000, right? If he brings him home.
Oh,
Is that the bounty?
was that even the
Yeah.
more? I didn't realize that.
If that's like the full bounty, probably. Yeah, so he makes his way there. Does he even know who he is at this point? I don't think he's familiar with him. He's just like, sure, I'll do it.
He already though like started to study jazz records beforehand. He like wanted to ingratiate
He
himself,
gets
or
that.
ingrain
He
himself.
gets that note from his dad that he was really into jazz.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to say in the book that Dickie and Tom had only briefly met at like a party, so
Okay.
he knew who he was going to Europe.
Yeah. So yeah, the studying montage of like, learning all the songs or learning all the jazz records,
Blindly
and all
picking
that.
a jazz album and trying to guess who it is.
Yeah. Which is insane because jazz is like what?
I know.
How do you like? Oh,
I wouldn't. I would have just memorized a few artists
Yeah.
and like not I mean, but again, that's the genius of Tom Ripley is truly like that level of a con artist.
He has to be a couple of steps ahead.
And we were talking about this earlier. This story is, Tom Ripley is a sociopath, a con artist, a fraud, and it speaks so much to these times because I feel like every other week we're learning about a new one.
Yeah.
And they've really permeated our culture.
It's
he was
crazy
like the
because,
OG catfisher.
I think like, it would have been like so much easier in the 50s to pull this kind of a scheme because there's not like computer records and all that stuff. But you're right, people are still pulling this shit like today. Like even with like digital fingerprints and all that stuff, you can still figure out ways to catfish people.
I mean, the inventor. That about the silicone.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she is like a Tom Ripley.
Totally. As we're watching this movie, I'm thinking myself to myself in my head the entire time, just thinking, oh, what a tangled web wee. That's like the moral of this story. Oh, what a tangled web wee.
A web of lies.
When also we practice to deceive.
And also, is Tom kind of a self-hating homosexual? Just to kind of to be kind of a gay man at that time, since you couldn't publicly live your life, you were probably just a pretty bitter person.
Probably in the 50s, if you were a homosexual and you had those tendencies, there's probably not even kind of a way for you. Probably don't even have the language to be like, yes, I'm a gay man, but I'm just hiding it. You're just like, no, something weird is wrong with me, and I can't
but
act on this.
In the third act, they do show there is another gay character.
Right.
In very rich elite circles, homosexuality is sort of accepted,
right? Okay,
sort of tolerated, and just sort of like keep it on the DL. And then Tom exploits that because he's like they're mistaking his self-hatred for his homosexuality when it's like, no, actually, I hate myself because I'm an evil murderer. I'm an evil murderer, and like,
yeah, totally. And they also touch on, other countries' kind of attitudes about
absolutely,
it. With, there are no gay men in Italy. Where
such
it's
a culture of machismo in Italy.
When we clearly see two like men like pawing all over each other.
Yeah.
But then a woman walks by and they both stop and whistle at her.
Right.
Because it's like that's
and then that, God bless that actually was convincing back then because I wouldn't pass today.
Oh my goodness.
The bearding, I mean, it's like good and bad because in the 50s it was probably very easier to have a beard, whereas the further on there is more and more scrutiny. Like,
or just being a confirmed bachelor.
Yeah.
That used to kind of be acceptable, right?
Yeah.
And eccentric.
Now when you're
met the right woman.
Now when you're hitting like 13 or 14, they're like, "Come on, what is it?
Yeah,
what's going on?"
Yeah, totally. Which is scary. I can't even imagine that. But
he meets Meredith on the boat ride.
Oh, right.
And he introduces
in, like,
himself
customs or whatever
as Dickie.
He was already at this that's an interesting part of it too, that he was already assuming this man's identity before he even met him.
Yeah, it was it was when he just kind of decides and like spur of the moment, like, he's
already a social climber, a striver. He had been told on the way there, like, this name opens a lot of doors. So I think something clicked in his mind.
Yeah.
Well, if doors are going to open, why would I be myself when I can be somebody
It makes
powerful?
sense. And I wonder if he would have known, being at his like social level, how kind of widespread this like net of kind of familiarity is within this upper echelon of like society, because like you wouldn't think that Meredith would know Dickie, but she right off the bat she was like, "Oh, the shipping green leaves."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then he was like, "Fuck." I just got gooped in like 2 minutes.
I mean, if you're traveling first class in a boat like that, it's the rich elite is a very small universe.
Yeah. It's a small circle and they all know each other, which would kind of is his undoing essentially.
Especially too, like that they're in New England and just a very old money. Now it's probably less like that. It's more anonymous and global. You know, like you're next to like a Russian oligarch and like a Saudi prince. Just all people. Although maybe they do all travel as well in the same circles. But they all, I don't know.
I think all the super rich now have like private jets and shit.
Yeah, that's part of it.
It's so easy to just be like, we're gonna charter a plane just 10 of us, and like
Yeah.
you don't even have to own it.
They're
You can
not
do
going
that
to
now.
Italy now
Yeah.
either.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
also that.
They're probably going to like, I don't know,
Outer space.
like the Seychelles.
I mean, is that
island.
why Italy's economy is kind of
I mean, that's a
tanked?
whole. We can.
That's like
a
a whole-
other
that's like a whole nother
Yeah,
podcast.
I don't know that, but they. So yes, he meets Meredith, who eventually, again, that's what's genius about this film's plot
Yeah.
and the script is it seems like a little minor character, and they have this very minor encounter, but it really comes back to haunt him. And this film kind of has this weird theme of chance and luck,
Yeah.
but also bad luck and like just like. Sometimes Tom is the luckiest man on earth, and sometimes
he's the unluckiest
man on
I
earth.
never thought of that. I like that.
It's sort of like I'm surprised they didn't embrace that and have like a gambling scene, like a
Ooh,
fancy
yeah,
casino.
yeah.
Don't you? I feel like we're missing a scene in like
Monte Carlo.
Carlo. Thank you. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I wanted
Perfect.
Gwyneth in a like gambling dress.
Oh my god!
And they go to a seedy jazz club.
I mean,
Yeah.
when they go to the opera in Rome and you get Paltrow in that royal blue dress,
I
that
know.
look
A
is
moment.
why Paltrow at the time was constantly compared to Grace Kelly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When we meet,
So
when
then
we do
yes,
meet Dickie on the beach, though.
he arrives
it.
in
I love
Italy
it.
He
in the
scouts out where he
fictional.
lives.
Where is it? The fictional town of
Montebello.
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 The Montebello Town Center.
That's a like
In the
inside
SGV.
joke for us here, City of Commerce.
Oh man, it's close to Montebello. Is
What was it?
Mangiabello.
Mangiabello.
I think it's Montebello. Yeah.
Montecito.
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 That would be better
That
than
would be a
Montebello.
Tom Ripley hangout.
Yes, now
Montecito
it
would
would.
be. Yeah.
But when we meet him on the beach, it's just
it's so
Jude
good.
Law. And okay, I love
So
this
good.
color of hair on Jude Law.
Yeah.
Because he typically has very dark brown hair, but he's,
It's gold and
Yeah.
gold like broom straw, like corn silk, just.
and I think
gorgeous
that's just to
shading,
illustrate that he's just hanging out at the beach all day. Like, I feel like this character probably would have brown hair, but it's just like, I just hang out in the ocean nonstop.
And just
so bleach my
photographed,
hair.
I mentioned before, like a Greek god of when he gets out of the ocean
Yeah.
with Margie.
He's so tan.
So tan.
Like-
He's all shoulders and tits.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you can tell in the universe of this movie. This is why everybody is obsessed with Dickie.
Yeah. Well, he's like effortless, and he has the confidence of someone born rich and young and attractive, and
Yes.
and so then Tom shows up, and he's pale and pasty, but still kind of hot.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not. I mean, the Speedo's ugly. He's in this like lime green iconic Speedo. It's like a diaper. It's up to his like belly button. It fits weird.
I love
Yeah.
the cloth on that
It's
Speedo because it would have been made out of cotton because
yeah.
It's almost
fashion-
like a terry cloth. or
fashion
something.
wouldn't have had that like nylon Speedo fabric.
It's a bit revealing if you're into that sort of thing. It's a little bit
You can definitely
revealing.
check out that
There's some
that matte
bird watching,
package.
Bird watching. Oh, my
which is the
goodness.
name of his boat. There's
Bird.
a lot of
Yeah.
you know,
And that's a Chet Baker. Reference, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I saw the Ethan Hawke movie.
A lot of homoeroticism. You don't name your boat after a man. That's very.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Gwyneth,
She's Marge. She's Dickie's fiance.
fiance, I think
Yeah.
they're enfianced at this point.
I think so. Yes, again, like
She's writing a novel. She's
is that-
also an American.
I forgot that plot point.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that all these assholes are so fucking rich. Marge has her own place. Like, now it's like if a group of friends are like, we're going to like Italy or like Mykonos or whatever, it's like we're all going to
Some nightmare
do one
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Even like rich kids.
Yeah.
When they
Even,
travel
yeah.
abroad, they're all living
Like,
together.
We're
Yeah.
bunking.
Yeah, but
all
these
of them
idiots-
have like invested in real estate, oceanside property.
Well, I'm assuming that maybe they're renting it, that their parents or
I think
whatever.
so, yeah.
But yeah, well, he does mention when I found my apartment in Montebello or whatever. But yeah, Marge has her own place.
Yeah.
Dickie's got his own place, and they're fabulous villas.
Also, Italy to America at this time, it was right after the war.
Sure.
It was a dirt
Yeah.
poor. It was
Yeah.
probably like for rich people.
The
it was,
American
like,
dollar
free.
could go a
It was
long
like going to
ways.
an open playground.
Yes,
No.
and absolutely, and it doesn't look like it's not shown like it's a tourist town.
No,
It's
they really
all-
weren't. But
yeah.
it's like where rich people might
Yes.
go to
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
out.
Yeah. So Marge has her own place where she's writing some novel by hand, probably.
What do you think their jobs would be if it was like would she be like a the Instagram photographer?
Oh,
like,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
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 She would be like
influencer.
running a social media account for some brand.
something like so like terrible.
Just selling like hair vitamin gummies and like
She would.
and like flat tummy tea. Like that. And Dickie would be doing absolutely nothing. Just
He
like
wouldn't
this.
even-
Just
yeah.
Swipe up
spending
for the
his
link.
parents' money. Yeah. Yeah.
He would be
swipe up for
he would be
link.
into DJ instead of jazz, like
Ooh,
DJing
for
or
sure.
something.
Yeah,
like
yeah. EDM, definitely.
EDM.
He would be guest hosting nights at Lohan's
Yeah.
Beach Club in Mykonos.
And Tom Ripley would definitely be into computers and like he would know how to code
Yeah.
and like
That's how he can steal identities
he would be
so
like,
easily.
up on all that. Yeah, he'd be like your VPN. You know, he would know that kind of stuff.
It'll trick the computer into thinking we're in America. Oh my goodness. I like though that Marge right off the bat is just like, let's have lunch. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
she's very like,
She invites him over,
Yeah.
and Dickie immediately knows that something's up because he does not remember
I don't
him
know
from
you.
Princeton.
I don't know you.
Yeah,
We didn't go to no damn.
But he's too
Princeton
rich
together.
to care. Like you don't have
Exactly.
to really worry because you're so rich your whole life. Nothing's going to really hurt you.
Yeah.
So why not? And he's also preoccupied. He goes off and he's having an affair with this Italian local.
he probably has numerous
Yeah.
blonde-headed children running around this.
Well, I don't know
place
how
of
I don't know
Italy.
how blonde they would be because every Italian woman in this movie has raven black hair
Yes.
and is like so overly sexual. Like they walk
Yes,
by and they're just
yeah.
like busty and like black hair and all
Yeah.
beautiful. And then there's like Gwyneth Paltrow in her like little bathing suit.
That's Minghella having some fun. I mean, I wonder if he himself has some Italian heritage.
yeah, yeah. But I just love how sexy the Italian women all are compared to like Gwyneth, Marge and
Oh yeah, she's like a thin-lipped, you know, New England's finest,
yes,
a minty,
yeah.
reedy
yeah.
Connecticut.
We were joking when watching if like Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa has like family somewhere in
this
the movie.
town, it's a real, like peasant-y, like, yeah.
I mean, I'd live there in a second. It looks
Me
looks really
too.
awesome. Oh, not only do they have their own fabulous apartments, but they all have help.
They have a boat.
They have live-in.
They have help. They have a
Yep.
boat. Yes. So where is Tom staying at this point?
I think Tom is just renting
Just found
a hotel.
room. Yeah, just found a hotel
Yep.
somewhere. But eventually, he like ingratiates himself enough that he start staying with.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Dickie-
starts staying with Dickie, and also kind of a ballsy move on Tom's plan that he immediately comes clean of
Yes.
what his dad's
Yeah, your dad sent
intentions
me.
were.
Yeah, yeah.
Your dad
Yeah.
sent me.
Yeah.
But it's smart. It's a way
Yeah.
to bond and be like, oh, I'm actually
Yeah.
supposed to be doing this thing.
How do you know?
I met him in New York.
Marge, this is scary. You gotta hear this. Meet my father, Herbert Richard Greenleaf the First.
Pleasure to meet you. Dickie's made a fine catch.
Uncanny.
I know Emily thinks so.
I don't get
It's uncanny.
Could you ever conceive of going to Italy, Tom, and bringing him back?
What?
I'd pay you if you would go to Italy, persuade my son to come home. I'd pay you $1,000.
I love when not only does he spill the beans about that right off the bat, but he also kind of tells Dickie that like, oh yeah, I can do some like creepy things, like forge signatures and mimic people's voices.
Yeah.
Which the mimicking of the voices is like kind of like, ooh, that's creepy, but they never use it.
No,
They
and
never really
should've.
use it. There's not like a phone call
I
where
think
he's
that's
like,
kind
it's
of.
me, you've
I think
heard it.
that's something from the books that Patricia Highsmith expands upon more.
Yeah. And also when they do it in the movie, I feel like there's a little like ANTM, like ADR realness when he's
Sure.
like, oh, I'm doing an impression
little
of the
bit,
dad.
yeah.
And it's like, did he do that on set or did he? Because it's Matt Damon doing it, but I think maybe he didn't do it that well on set.
And they
And then he re-recorded it.
sweetened
They
it.
had to bring him
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah, let's do the impression of the fake James Cromwell dad one more time. Yeah. And then he did it again, and then it worked. And then he does Marge later on.
That was
weird.
iconic.
Yeah.
That's an iconic moment.
Yeah,
He's like,
because Because Gwyneth is kind of imitatable. Like, I
Yes.
can't do it right now, but I'd have to hear it. But the way he did it was pretty much following the weird lilts and cadences of, like, Marge's
Right.
delivery. But that was when he was doing some, like, weird mirror, like, I love you, Homer.
I like him. Marge, you like everybody. Oh, I like him. Marge, you like everybody.
But,
So what happens next is he basically pretends like he has to go and drop some jazz records.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
Clumsy me.
Have you? I mean, haven't we all done that? Where like you've like wanted to like either meet somebody,
Sure.
or research something about them beforehand, and then it comes up and you like play dumb, and you're like, oh, you like this? It's funny. We live in this era of social media now. You can really do it. Anybody can be Tom Ripley so
Oh, yeah.
quickly and easily. When you can look up somebody's Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah.
this kind of thing is just one
Yeah.
click away to be like, oh,
Oh, I saw this in your house.
Oh,
And, like,
yes.
look what I have in my house.
Yeah.
Same thing.
yeah.
I have questions about Dickie's dad just bankrolling Tom. How long
Sure.
until he's just like, all right, bitch, you're not home yet?
Well, there is a
I'm
point
cutting
of
you off.
there is a point of the movie that he did say that you obviously can't get him to come home. Your work is finished. Thanks
Yeah.
for your help.
And-
Here's a little something
Right.
to like compensate for.
I
you.
love too that he's so rich that he still was like able to just. He wasn't pissed. I mean, I'm sure he was pissed about it, but he was just like take another grand or
Throw
two,
money at the problem, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah.
And I'll figure out how to get my son back eventually.
Yeah.
I love that. I wish.
And
I need to get myself a shipping business. Can I start that today? Is that how you make it?
I mean, I think that's the wrong industry.
I
to
mean,
get
That's like a
into.
50s.
I was
like,
gonna say
like
that's like some-
industrialist.
that's like some
I'm
old
a shipping
yeah.
bag.
That's like some old money shit. Is
Yeah.
building ships.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
You need to be into like Bitcoin or Dogecoin. Like you need to be
yeah.
like cryptocurrency
Sure.
heiress.
All of the thirsty
Yes.
Instagram gays that I've been following have been trying to
NFTs.
shell out their cryptocurrency game. So it's like
can we sell early
I refuse
episodes?
to learn or
it's
understand.
becoming like
Me
what-
too.
it's becoming a thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Can
I
we
never
sell
will.
early episodes of movies that made us gay as NFTs?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean,
I just know that
I'll
crypto.
sell it to leave Britney alone.
It's like cryptocurrency is like Disney dollars for the internet.
Yeah, kind of.
But there's this like constant threat that it's all going to vanish.
Yeah.
It's going to sound like the government's going to be like, okay, you've had fun.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's over now.
And it's done. Like all of our movies on Apple TV.
or like,
It's
National.
exactly.
You don't
Oh my
really
God.
own these.
Like, you don't own that. Come on. You really thought you owned Snow White.
Yeah, let me just say this about that. Chris Crocker, like, way to go selling Leave Britney Alone for $40,000, but $40,000? I feel like it's worth a little bit more than that.
He sold.
Yeah.
Wait,
He
sold
sold
the
Leave
rights.
Britney
or the-
Alone as an NFT,
Wow.
non-fungible, whatever.
How long ago was that?
Like 2 months ago.
Oh, he should have got more.
Interesting.
$42,000.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have. Rent's due.
The
He
rent
didn't
is
have,
due,
like-
yeah.
I mean, you can at least get 100.
He's got an OnlyFans, but I mean, I think he could have held
Well,
out.
that other girl, I saw the fire. Remember the little girl in front of a giant fire?
Oh, sure,
She
yeah.
got like $500,000. So that
What?
was like,
for a picture?
yeah.
That's crazy.
so
That's more. Wow. Yeah, Chris Crocker
NFTs.
should have held out.
non-fungible
Token. Yeah,
Okay.
non-fungible token. So that means it's some kind of like it's like I don't know, IP is in there somewhere.
Right. I mean, the whole it's
Intellectual property.
same with the art world now is selling
Yes.
like
Yeah.
digital art like that,
Exactly,
and you're
yeah.
like, great, cool.
That way they can guarantee that there's not a shredder built into the frame. Like good old Banksy.
So yeah,
Remember that? That was great.
so shipping money.
Shipping money. That's my
Shipping
new.
money.
This is my new get rich slow scheme. I'm
Sure.
going
Rich,
to.
very.
You're gonna
slowly.
make travel from Manhattan, New York harbor to the UK.
No.
happen again.
I want to build those ships that carry shipping containers that carry
Oh,
shipping
sure.
containers
Okay.
that get stuck in the Suez
that
Canal.
had a
Okay.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
it got stuck, and
Yeah.
that was a thing.
Yeah.
For 10
That's
seconds.
that's gonna
I
be
thought that
my-
you were like going to reinvest in like boats,
like luxury liners,
like luxury liners.
I mean, I could
from,
also do that too. I could branch off.
from that Soderbergh movie.
Sure, we'll try.
And so basically, Tom and Dickie go off and they like bond over this jazz club, and then things are on the up and up in the movie for a while.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this glamorous, fun 3-wheel, power dynamic group of
Yeah.
Dickie and Tom and Marge, and like they all are getting along great and love each other. And he sort of acts initially as this like he's saving their relationship because they might be having tension because she wants to get married. He's a little like he's like a cad playboy who just wants to be young forever. But
Yeah.
with Tom around, he's sort of she sees him as like a babysitter. Like he's
kind
not
of-
going to be
Right.
stepping out on
He's
me.
kind
with
of-
Tom.
There you go. I didn't even think of that.
He's kind of
And
his.
he says, "Wow, Tom's my cover
I was going to say
for me
he's-
to be able to go out
He's
and do
kind of
whatever I want."
his wingman for when he
Yes.
goes out.
Absolutely. So they both are using. See, they are both using Tom as
Yes.
well. Tom is using. Everybody's using everyone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Freddie Miles enters the picture,
Oh, yeah.
played by
Son of a bitch.
the late
Great.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
yeah.
And
And Freddie immediately
he gives a big
is on the
performance.
top.
Yes, he does.
He gives the biggest performance in the film, and
Yeah.
Tom and Matt Damon's playing a gay sociopath, and he's not giving
Yeah,
the loudest performance in the movie, which is again a smart and an interesting choice.
And the character is straight,
He is,
Freddie, yeah.
but he's just flamboyantly rich.
yes, and like again, I think the film kind of flirts and plays with a lot of like gender presentations. Like in the 50s, what would pass as masculine or not
Sure.
masculine is
Yeah.
very different from now. And like
Yeah.
for us, he seems like such a queen, but
Yeah.
far be it for us to say he is like obnoxiously like trying to gun down women, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just
He ices out Tom on the skiing trip
yes,
because he was clearly like, that faggot is not coming with us.
Not only that, I think for him the bigger sin is I can tell you are like
Yes.
not of my class.
You are not.
and
Yeah.
You are not.
You're trying to be, or like something is wrong.
Yeah,
with
I
your
think that's what
story.
he mostly
That's even
is.
more
Yes, for sure.
the issue, which is interesting. That I guess at some point Dickie starts to get creeped out by Tom,
Yeah.
and like the pivotal bathtub scene is
Oh my
like
goodness.
set it up for us.
Yes, Scott, it's your favorite scene.
It's your favorite.
Oh my gosh.
scene.
I mean,
It starts off with a sexy chess game.
They're
What-
playing chess in the
What
bathtub,
else is
which
sexy?
is
Could you
imagine-
a very
could you
intimate.
imagine-
Have you ever played
I was
chess
gonna
in a
say.
bathtub with a close friend?
could you imagine our
What haven't I
straight?
done in the
Could you
bathtub with a
imagine
close
our
friend?
straight friends? Just, I'm going to take a bath. Do you want to play chess with me?
I steam with
Why
my
I
straight
take a
friends.
bath.
I cannot imagine that. I've never even had a tub comfortable enough to like do anything in for more than 3 minutes.
Well, okay, so this is this like 1950s, claw tub.
I know.
We're still in Montebello and like Queen Amidala's like summer house, like right on the lake.
even
with,
the
like,
bathwater looked
George and
rich.
Amal, like, in the
it
background.
Looked like, it looked like
It had, like,
clear.
those,
It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
I was like that is
Oh,
like,
yeah, Dickie-
expensive bathwater.
Dickie put in some like bath bombs.
It was
Some
not at
essential
all like
oils.
L.A. water. It would have,
No.
first of all, it would have been murky, and
Yeah.
you couldn't have even. I would actually be nude in a bathtub, L.A. water,
No one
because
could
you
see
wouldn't
anything.
see anything, and it wouldn't be that awkward.
Absolutely.
It's like Amalfi Coast water.
Yeah.
I would drink.
Dickie's bathwater.
I would drink Dickie's
Oh, yeah.
water.
I would sell it.
I would.
And ship it from the United States to Europe
Yeah.
on my steamships.
Yeah, I
With
would.
steam?
I'd start some Bitcoin bids.
Yes. So they're starting off playing the sexiest of games, chess.
Yeah.
A mind game.
Also true. You're right. This is a
mind
game of wits.
and strategy,
Yes.
which
Wow. Okay, that was laying it on a little thick.
I'm
there.
just thinking of the scene from
Mingala.
Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me with Kristen Johnson.
Now that was a sexy chess.
And so Tom, I will give him props in terms of trying to like seduce a straight person. He doesn't embarrass himself. He sort of, but he makes the move.
Yeah.
Which I've never done. I've never been brave enough to hit on
Right.
a straight man.
Yeah.
And I know I have a lot of friends that have, and I've been way too chicken. And there have been one or two times, I've even been in situations with supposedly straight men who've sort of started to like go down that road, and I've been like, oh, let's go back to the main highway. I'm like a little afraid to go down this road. I just always felt, I just like things clearly defined. I'm like kind of an uptight nerd.
No, yeah,
so
you never know what's going to happen.
Really done this, but you know, I've read several erotic stories about it.
I was going to say,
fantasized about
gay
it.
porn constantly opens up with
Which, no,
scenes
I
like
love
this.
it. I love this kind of thing. But then in real life, I'm like,
I mean, our pizza delivery guys are usually old Armenian men, so
that's not on the table, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like
and we're also
70s.
now of an age. This is more in that, like, college, you know,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. But, I mean...
Now it's like Uber or Lyft driver is probably your best shot.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to get OnlyFans rich. But he tries it. Dickie's like, what are you talking about?
Well, he's like, this bathwater is kind of nice.
It's warm. Can I get in?
I want to get in. And,
Well, I didn't mean with you in it.
yeah.
Dummy.
He walks it back, and it's like, okay, is he that successful? Because the way that Dickie stands up and is like, all right, you want in?
That's its
Get
own,
the fuck
like-
in, and stands up right in front of him.
Weird.
That's when it's weird.
Yeah. Well, because do you think he was in his mind like, let's see if this is a real queen? He's gonna like check out the
I'm gonna
goods.
show you
and
all
he does.
this.
I also think that I also
he
think
looks right
that
at it.
Dickie and also maybe Jude Law as a person is the type of straight man that just enjoys everybody desires him, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah. When you're pretty like that your whole
Yeah.
life, you're just like, it
You're
opens
like,
doors.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
You get that great butt shot of Jude Law in that
do,
in
and
that brief tan line.
Ripley looks behind, so I guess Ripley's an ass man. He seemed like he was more of an ass man than because he did the front. He was kind of kept it cool and autistic, where he like stared
very-
straight ahead.
yeah.
But then like he could not resist. It's very like it's like cruising, where you know like you pass each other, and then. It's a game of chicken. Who's going to turn their head? And they both turn, and that's such the moment that you clock the moment. Like, you were doing what I thought you'd do.
Yeah. And there's like mirror shots of like the ass.
Lots of mirrors in the film.
Yeah.
Lots of double imagery, split imagery, because who is Tom? Who is Dickie?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, man. So, I mean, all this
Psychological intrigue. Psychosexual.
tricks and images and stuff. I'm like, ooh, it's so like underneath the surface, but I'm like, well, when we talk about it, it's kind of blatant.
Yeah,
it is. But when you watch it, it has a kind of like,
it plays really well.
And so then this is starting to turn. Things are starting to turn. They're like you said, they're icing him out. Like, no more ski trip. Like, when are you gonna go? It's time to go.
Yeah, Paltrow sits him down on the boat and is just
gives
like,
him a lovely
"Hey, buddy, like, what's up?
Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
This is your consolation prize." And
that scene sucks though when she's just like, "Oh shit, you didn't know about the ski trip?"
I know. And
Not
haven't
enough
we all
room for
been
you,
there
girl.
too?
Sorry,
Where you've like accidentally been like, "Oh yeah, well when we go to the party," and then they're like, "What party?"
But
And
we
you're
were,
like,
but we were planning on going. But we were planning on going to Palm Springs next month.
Right. The Palm
That's not going to
Springs
happen.
trip,
There's not enough room in the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You don't know.
We were going to invite you. We figured you were busy with work.
Oh, so sad. We have all been there, but yeah, I mean that's.
But the real moment when the moment when things absolutely start to turn south is the death of Dickie's mistress, who was pregnant with his baby.
Oh my
and
God.
this is a small Italian village, so she's been trying to get a hold of Dickie very on the periphery,
kind of,
and like
Dickie's carelessness for people is starting to catch up with him.
Yes, and so he doesn't care. He's like, I just have this Italian whore named like
Silvana
Giudice,
And Silvana works at. She has this little like
she's at the
vegetable
fruit stand,
cart that is like right at the door of like Madge's.
The nerve of the straight guy,
villa.
Yeah,
that like drops off Margie and then immediately.
I know, and she's buying. She's like, I'm going to make a lemon meringue pie today, and she's buying lemons from this poor woman.
Probably the same family fruit stand that Dorit Kemsley gets all the lemons for the coppery room.
Yes.
At
Buca de Beppo.
I mean, I just expected to see Dorit like round the corner in her Vespa.
Like with sunglasses on and like a head wrap. Yeah. Gwyneth speaking Italian to Silvana, I love.
I know.
You know Gwyneth Paltrow is fluent in like
Spanish. I know
Of course she is.
Spanish.
Yep.
So, and you know she wanted to speak that Italian.
I love listening to Gwyneth Paltrow speak Spanish.
Anthony,
It's so great.
I don't need to be dubbed. I know.
I know. She's like,
I got it.
I mean, Gwyneth. She used to. I mean, she called Steven Spielberg like Uncle Steven. I mean,
Uncle
that's the
Steven.
Kind of. Like,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I just got
or
got
Uncle
my
Morty or something.
I just got my first job.
I'm not joking.
I got my SAG card from
my
Uncle
God.
Steven when I was in Hook.
Yeah.
Mort. Oh my goodness.
Um,
and her old friend Anthony Hopkins. I mean, you can't forget him.
Oh, do you remember that on the Globes? I
No,
think that
wait,
they were
what
giving
happened?
Anthony like a career. I think he was getting like the Cecil B. DeMille Award.
Oh.
And she introduced him as Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony.
She didn't just introduce him. She gave like a speech
Yep.
and said his name multiple times and referred to him as Anthony.
That's like the English way, I guess they say.
But
it.
then,
And-
like somebody straight up asked him, and he was like, "No, it's Anthony."
I feel like to this day, it's still why I refer to Anthony Hopkins as Anthony.
Oh, yeah, me
or
and you
like
for
they
sure.
say Sebastian.
Yeah. They have the
Anthony.
yeah.
It's this type.
Emphasis on the wrong.
It's
thing.
this type of bullshit is why I love. Is why I love
Gwenny.
Gwynny.
And so then one of my
Polyglot.
favorite moments in the whole film, again, there's so many.
So many.
After Jude Law finds out that she's killed herself and he feels somewhat responsible, he throws a tantrum, runs out of the room, and Tom's like, I'll go. He's such an overeager queen. And sometimes I love the moments in this film where Tom Ripley drops the pearls and sort of like reveals his like true queen, his
Yeah.
true like conniving queen nature, just such a like busybody, like drama queen. And he's like, I'll go find out what's wrong with him. And she's like,
chill.
All right, calm down, girl.
I'm his fiance.
I'm his girlfriend.
Like, I'll go in and find out what's going on. You
Yeah.
can like rearrange the flowers, peasant. Like, go make us a martini. That's like one of the first things Dickie, when he meets Tom, is like, can you make us a martini? I mean, he's such a like presumptuous like jerk, but gets away with it and
Yeah,
is somehow
yeah.
charming.
Her look to him when she's like, "No, I'll go." It's
That
like,
should have earned the nomination for Best Supporting Actress. It was just a like, really,
Yeah,
queen?
yeah, no.
Really, queen?
we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, that is a really.
Have
good
you
scene. I
heard?
forgot
Have you
about
met
that.
Peter King Smithley?
You'd like him.
You'd like him.
You'd get along with him.
I
Trust
think you
me.
two would really hit it off.
He's actually interested in men.
Are you sure you don't know him? Yeah.
And so from this point, this is when Dickie's essentially tells Tom, "Look, we're going to have one last fun trip together.
He's
You
going
need
to go.
I'm not going to go home.
to go look
Yeah.
at property
Yeah,
because he wants to move.
yeah.
He's tired of Montebello.
He is. Well, because the
He's tired. He's tired of the SGV.
He needs to get the hell out.
yeah.
He wants to go north. He wants to. I forget where he wants to go.
Reseda.
He wants to go to Artesia now. He's
Artesia.
leaving Montebello to go to Artesia.
And this is when Dick.
Trying to think of
This is
European
when
sounding
also.
cities.
Artesia.
And this is when Dickie also is starting to call Tom out on all of his bullshit to his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you at Princeton.
Yeah.
Like, out with it.
And he's using his charm to get the truth. He's like, you know, he's making you want to tell the truth because Tom's always wanting to please Dickie on some level. And so he's like, oh, well, but Dickie's sort of playing him finally. Like, there are a few times where Tom gets played or doesn't have the upper hand.
And when he's sort of starting to confess a little bit, Dickie is like listening to the jazz and he cannot even be bothered.
It's all one big love affair. It's such
Yeah.
a cringe moment.
Yeah.
You're like,
So I mean,
cringe.
this is all.
Cringe.
I mean, this is all building up to what brings us into the second act of the movie of when they rent out the boat.
Yeah.
They ran a boat.
This boat scene, man, of
This shit is wild.
Wow.
Jude Law like going off on Tom of that
Yes.
when he says you're boring.
You're bored.
Like there is nothing more
Boring.
just a stab to the heart of you're boring. Like
Yeah.
I cannot stand you.
Boring. I've been absolutely honest with you about my feelings. Boring. But you, first of all, I know there's something. That evening, when we played chess, for instance, it was obvious.
What evening?
Oh, sure, no, it's too dangerous for you to take on. Oh, no, well, we're brothers. Hey. And then you do this sordid thing with Marge, fucking her on the boat while we all have to listen, which was excruciating. And you follow your cock around and now you're getting married. No, I'm bewildered. Forgive me. You're lying to Marge, and then you're getting married to her. You're knocking up Sylvana. You're ruining everybody. You want to play the sax. You want to play the drums. Which is it, Dickie? What do you actually play?
Who are you? Huh? Some third-class moocher. Who are you? Who are you to say anything to me? Who are you to tell me anything? Actually, I really, really do not want to be on this boat with you. I can't move without you moving. Gives me the creeps. You give me the creeps. Can't move without Dickie, like a little girl.
Yeah, and then that English poshing accent, just boring. I can't do it. That sounded like that sounded like I was from Boston. But I mean, if you hear it, it's really.
I mean,
good.
is this just like couples after the quarantine of 2020?
On the boat, it is. I mean, because then Tom turns around and murders Dickie. So yes,
true.
And then the movie, like, I'm not a squeam. I watch horror movies. I like violence, but
when you see Dickie,
for some reason, the violence in this really hits hard.
When you see Dickie get hit over the head with that oar,
maybe it's too because it's such a like pretty face. You're like, no. It's sort of like staining. It's like staining your couch that you just bought, like your expensive new couch. You're like, no.
Totally.
Why did you do that? Couldn't you have like stabbed him in the stomach?
Oh my god. Dickie bleeding out, his face split open, is just so pissed off.
Yeah, and then he like to like get out of it, he like
God. Yeah, he
puts his hand into the wound.
Yeah, awful.
Tom is ruthless. He's like Yeah.
And it's like this tiny little boat with a little tiny motor, and they're just driving around the harbor so he can pick a new apartment, and it didn't have to go that way.
Yeah.
Like, they kept picking at each other. But, like, Tom could have just shut up and just been like, all right, fuck it. We just got to get back to shore.
Well, and it's one of those things that he didn't intentionally kill him.
No,
I think that it was just anything that would have been near him to throw at Dickie.
Yeah,
and it just happened to be an oar.
Yeah.
And when you watch this scene of Purple Noon, he just openly just stabs Dickie like in the stomach.
Like, I'm going to kill you.
Like, it's premeditative. We're going to take him out on this boat, and I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. No, this is more. I think this is more effective because it's just it's a crime of passion.
Mm-hmm. Passion.
But it's fucking gross.
I'm just gonna cradle Dickie's dead body.
Yeah,
in the middle of the ocean.
I love that's such a like creepy good moment. Yeah,
this like unrequited love.
Yeah,
and then he just like
he goes to Rome.
Yeah,
I mean, this is one where he's starting to become Dickie even more.
Dickie.
Mm-hmm. Dickie.
A Dickie Greenleaf.
Yeah, he goes to Rome, and just now this is when he is like going into overdrive.
The trickery, the like tomfoolery.
He has to be both Tom and Dickie at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's calling one hotel. He checks into two hotels.
Yeah.
Checks into one as Tom, checks into one as Dickie. Calls the other one. Oh, he's not there. Leave a message.
Mm-hmm.
Calls the other one. Same shit. So he's got this paper trail.
This is the legendary scammer.
He has all of these balls up in the air.
Yeah.
And then, who does he meet in a shop in Rome? But Meredith.
Meredith
is back.
Mm-hmm.
Ruins everything.
She's like horny and ambitious and like a social climber. And
yes, indeed.
It's not good news for Tom.
But I mean, Tom like queens out when she mentions those opera tickets.
Yeah, he's not one to pass that up. He loves like a highbrow, entertainment of the wealthy.
And do you know who else loves opera? Peter.
And so Marge is like queenie musician. He's a musician, right? He's
I think he must be.
Remember, he's like
he composes like choirs or something.
He's like
in Venice, and he lives in Venice.
Castrato boys singing like high notes.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he's just running a ton of scams at this point. Tom, he's like Anna Delveying it up. Like he is. When you watch it, you start to become mentally exhausted by all the facades he has to put up. And you imagine that he's sort of exuding that too. Like, he seems at some point, it must be, it's just exhausting to have to lie your way out of murder. I feel like when most people do a horrific act like that, they like are able to escape and disappear. But for him, he's just becoming even further, delving further down. Imagine having to like then become the person you just murdered. I mean, talk about like a fucked
and it's like
psychology.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, he's in Italy, so he's not like at his home, but he's in the same country where he did it. So it's like there's
and also this elite group of wealthy people
all know each other.
They all know each other. Yeah. And it's one of those things that Meredith knows him as Dickie.
Yeah.
But
his one mistake, if he hadn't have said that at the beginning, he would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I live for all of the scenes whenever Peter talks to Tom.
Yeah. He's just very like glad, like you're like when you first come out and you go to a meeting and there's the like friendly like lead counselor. He's just very understanding and nice,
and especially
warm.
with like Peter's character of being kind of semi out, like he's probably just out to a certain group of people. And when you spot someone who you know is gay, like so you just sort of have to zero in on them.
Yeah,
he has that like I can fix him mentality. He thinks that Tom's monsters and demons are just self-hatred, but they're much larger than that.
Yeah,
like if anything, maybe if Tom at the end of the movie would have let Peter in on just a little bit of his grift, but just like enough.
Yeah.
Well, the movie too, the fact that it lets Tom, you get the sense that Tom genuinely does like and or want to love Peter.
Yeah.
And he wants to escape into that fantasy world.
And I know that was sort of a big criticism that people have that really love both Purple Noon and the original source material is that he wasn't enough of a sociopath.
In this movie?
In the movie? Yeah. I think, though, that helps create, like, weird feelings.
Makes the character more interesting.
It's because you kind of do feel sorry for him a little bit, but not really. It is a weird choice, but I think it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because if you had played the straight sociopath, you'd really be giving the audience like nothing. Like,
totally.
Here's this like dangerous snake that manages to escape. At least here,
and I think in Purple Noon, it works well when you have someone as good looking as.
Alain
Delon, that you can sort of have that character that way just because he's so fucking handsome.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that part of that too, with the like giving Tom, it gives a moral justice to it because you actually think, wow, he's deeply unhappy and he's punished in a weird way. Like the world is closing in on him at the end. Like he's in his own hell, and rightfully so. And it's his own hell that he created.
I love the scene at the Spanish Steps where he orchestrates the meeting between Meredith and Margie.
Yeah.
That he's sort of like getting his alibi that Dickie is in town. And I love the meeting of them because these are just like Tom Ripley's like dolls that he's playing with.
And it's also Gwyneth Paltrow and Cate Blanchett interacting with each other in like amazing 50s fashion.
They had just come off of their Best Actress nominations earlier in the year, and now we get like the meeting of the two.
Prime. I don't want to say prime era because they've gone on to so many other great things, but they're just when
they start figuring it out, but the wrong way. They're figuring it out the way he wants them, the way he's orchestrated it to figure it out. It's like, it's kind of satisfying as a viewer. You're just like, oh shit.
It's all falling into place.
He did all this on purpose. He yanked her out of the opera. Like,
the evidence they find too, it's like, yes, this isn't proof conclusive. They never get like proof conclusive. Like she finds his ring and it's like, he could, that doesn't mean he killed him, but for us and for her, and when you know something but you can't prove it, it's like the worst feeling.
And it's like every single scene with Gwyneth in this movie, she's catching on to Tom's plan more and more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's not completely falling for it because she knows that something is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays these scenes after Dickie's death very interesting. When she talks to Tom, she's upset, but like even to herself, she knows she's upset because something's wrong. Dickie's, this is like not like him or whatever, but she doesn't want to like believe that Tom did anything, but it's just kind of like she's just so confused and kind of like she's playing it really well the way she's just like so like all this shit's happening and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, so I went to Rome when I was 17 years old in high school, and when we went to the Spanish Steps, this was like the place in Europe that I was like, oh my God. Guys, this is where the big scene from The Talented Mr. Ripley took place of the meeting of Gwyneth Paltrow and
this time you're going to be Cate Blanchett. But
Cate
then after we
Blanchett.
finish, I'm going to be Cate Blanchett.
probably recited all of the dialogue.
Marge, I don't know you, so I've got no right to... Dickie loves you. I think you'll find he's on his way home to you. Well, how would you know that? He told me everything. I was supposed to meet him 15 minutes ago, so... I'm going to go now, I think. Not unless he meant us to meet. That'd be a little cruel, wouldn't it?
No, we're meeting another friend. Tom Ripley.
Do you know Tom Ripley? No. I've heard about him, of course, but I didn't meet him, no. Not to me. No, grazie.
I love it.
Oh, I can't imagine going there after seeing it. That would be like such great role playing for me. Like I would have played every character.
Although now it would just be full of like tourists and like
I mean, we'd have to do like a TikTok lip sync to it now.
I can't even imagine what it would be like.
That's amazing.
It's probably like ground zero for COVID too at the time, so it wouldn't be like. It's probably like you probably can't go up on the steps right now.
Maybe one
Gather
day.
soon, one day. But yeah, Talented Mr. Ripley.
Freddie. Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
we didn't talk about Freddie's
demise,
hit over the head with.
We'll talk real quick about.
I mean, probably. I think that he gets hit over the head with like some Roman emperor.
Yeah.
Yes.
You thought it was Caligula.
It was.
It might be. We don't know. He gets smashed over the head several times with this thing.
Whew.
He like I said, the quickest way to make a sociopathic gay man snap is to insult his interior design aesthetic.
He calls it bourgeois.
Yeah.
This is too bourgeois for
Tom
Dickie.
is like, he is seething. He's like, will murder you the second you turn your back to me. And he does.
Yeah. And so then we get this convoluted, like, new plan that
I know
Dickie killed Fred. Yeah,
and now he has to talk to like the police.
Yeah. Whenever are the police involved? That's my impression of Lori from season 1 of Real Housewives of Orange County. But whenever the police involved, it's not good.
Yeah, totally. But they're not bumbling. The first detective in Rome is not bumbling, but he's buying everything that Dickie's selling to him, I think. But he turns it into this crazy story of Freddie killing or Dickie killing Freddie and then killing himself.
Yeah,
craziness. Dickie's parents get a private detective.
He relocates to Venice with Peter. He gets Peter to buy him like a little apartment off the canals in Venice.
Well,
good for him.
I mean, good work. But when Dickie's parents get involved and the private detective, it's kind of wild because you think like, okay, this guy,
the detective, has nailed him.
No nonsense detective who's just like, I don't want to hear it. I don't give a shit about your small talk. Here's what's going to happen. And they're so worried about the scandal.
Dickie's reputation.
And Dickie's reputation. They know that he has had issues with violent outbursts in the past.
It was sort of why he was sent to Europe.
They know they've had to cover up for him. They knew about Silvana Guidice, all that stuff. So they're just like, all right, some bad shit went down. You need to shut your mouth, keep your mouth shut, and get the fuck out of here.
And he's like, great.
Yeah, here's some money. They give him
So much money.
He wins the showcase showdown.
Oh, definitely.
He
Yeah.
gets the like Dickie's trust fund. He gets like stipends, like all this fucking money. And they're like, get out of here. We don't want to see you anymore. Leave scot-free. And you think he gets away with it. And like the whole thing about this movie, like we're saying, is like, he's this anti-hero and he's a sociopath and he's a murderer and people can't deal with it because he gets away with it. But does he though?
No.
I don't know, because of this last fucking scene.
It's my favorite scene with Paltrow.
On this... Oh, well,
that scene,
yeah,
too.
that scene is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Her
last scene with
farewell.
Paltrow is so good. It should have been the
Yeah.
Oscar clip. And it's one of those things that I really like what they did with Marge in this movie compared to the book. That Marge is much more of a doormat
In the book.
Right.
And I mean,
more of a doormat because she pretty much lets them walk all over her in this movie.
Yeah.
But shit. At least she gets in.
she's onto him and she knows that he killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when Dickie finally does, he's on this. I mean, I'm assuming they're sailing back to the States.
I think
At
so.
the end?
They're probably going back to New York.
Yeah, because they're on this ship. He's there with Peter Kingsley just to live his like gay faggotry fantasy on the ship. At this point, they had to have like boned down
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
like
I hope so.
I think
They're out on the deck like singing show tunes.
yeah. I don't think they're sharing a room
Do you think what would they use for lube?
on a cruise ship. I don't know.
Spit.
Olive oil.
No, I think Peter brought
He knows.
planned.
Peter knows what's
Yeah.
up.
But I don't know what they bought.
Vaseline.
Maybe
Vaseline.
Yeah,
That's what they
probably.
would use. Petroleum jelly.
I mean,
Petrol-
in the 50s.
Petrol.
I mean,
Petrol.
Petrol
They-
jelly.
It's not water soluble.
They booked this boat to America thinking it was going to be their like
Yeah.
Atlantis cruise fuck fest.
Yeah.
And guess who shows up?
Yeah.
Meredith.
and her family.
Yep. And it's
Who
one of
he
those,
met at the
are you traveling
opera.
alone?
And they're textile.
They're textile magnates.
Yep.
Yes, not shipping.
No.
Are you traveling alone? No, I'm with
The entire
I'm with
fucking
my
Brady
entire
Bunch.
family, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck."
Well, his mind, yeah, he's like, I will. He was ready to.
You
I
are
will-
over.
I will send a
overboard,
smidge overboard.
bitch.
He wanted, and the audience kind of did too. We were like, let's kill him. Can we? The film doesn't ever quite deliver popcorn thriller elements
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
kill the people you want to see killed and like have the things happen
Yeah.
that usually
Except with
happen. Except with Freddie. Yeah, that's true. We were
He
like,
gets it.
yes.
But I love this last exchange with Cate on the boat deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the, oh my God, Dickie, everybody thinks that you're a murderer. Like, what are we going to do? We had this romantic night in Rome at the opera.
Yeah, the dialogue's so good. When she's like, "Are you with someone?" He's like, "I'm alone," and
Yeah.
it really speaks to like,
And she's just like,
His-
didn't I see Peter?
"Yeah, I'm alone."
Are you with Peter?
And he's like, I don't know who that is.
who? Peter? Who?
Yeah. So at this point, though, what is his plan? Because now we get like, let's just
I mean,
say
I also think that Tom's just making it up
He
as
has
he
to
goes
be.
by now.
he has to be because she
Yeah.
still thinks he's fucking Dickie. So when they get back to the States, she's going to be like, "Oh, Dickie, I just saw him on the boat."
Like-
and everybody's going to be like, "Bitch, he's dead."
Like, this plan would only work if he never saw Meredith again in his entire
So
life.
now he's got to go to California. But okay, so my question is, he goes back to the room with Peter Kingsley, and he's just like, and Peter Kingsley is now he's bitching out because he's like, oh, who was that woman? Oh, I saw you with some woman on the deck, and you were kissing her. And he's just like, oh, no. In his Tom Ripley way of just like, oh, it was kissing her off. I was just
Yeah.
like, whatever. And fully just like strangles Peter Kingsley with like his sock or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so now what? So now there's like a dead body in the room?
I mean,
There
he just
is.
has to find a way to dump
Yeah.
that body
Yeah.
off the boat.
You could do it at like 2 a.m.
I guess.
and over the.
And just pull the like, he's
There's
drunk.
no
Like,
security camera.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess the plan is just now he's just got to find a way in the dark of night to throw him over the side.
But for someone like Gwyneth or Marge would be like,
oh yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's already kind of like under suspicion for like
as soon as Marge finds out that her gay bestie
Is
went
disappeared.
overboard
Yep.
on a ship back to America.
we
Yep.
need that sequel or spin-off or
There you go.
reboot.
I like it.
That, like Marge's Revenge.
I'll do a scripted
should-
a scripted dramatic podcast of that story, and I'll do all the voices.
I did not read the follow-up books to this, Ripley's Game, and she
Right.
wrote a few more.
So this authoress,
Patricia
Yeah.
Highsmith.
Patricia Highsmith, she, as I was today years old when I found out that she wrote Carol.
I didn't
Published under
think I
The
needed
Price
to
of
do
Salt.
The Price.
Oh, yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
And that's sort of when you look up book covers for The Price of Salt, it's very like predatory lesbian fiction.
Well, yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Which I love.
Like,
Which
and
I'm
I
all
love
about,
that,
too.
and
Give
I
me
love
that movie,
and I love that
please.
Queen Todd Haynes was just like,
I'm
I'm
on
going to
it.
take this and make a beautiful
Right.
lesbian romance.
it is a little predatory lesbian.
Yeah.
though,
It
even the
is.
movie.
Kate's like leering and leeching. She is sort of like,
I want this train set.
some of the Meredith looks
And
are
wrapped.
very Carol too.
Yes,
Definitely,
for
yeah.
sure. But when was The Price of Salt written?
In the 50s also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So these books were
And
written-
also Patricia Highsmith, an alleged lesbian.
Lesbian.
interesting, because I was going to say she writes these movies in the 50s. A woman writes these movies in these books in the 50s that have these kind of crazy like predatory gay characters.
Yeah, that
What
is a
going
very-
on?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because if a man had written it, it would have been like,
Oh, yeah.
you're a little too interested in this subject matter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
And from
so
everything I've
weird.
read about Patricia Highsmith, because she also did Strangers on a Train, that
What?
Hitchcock adapted
God.
into
Right.
the movie, that she was very unpleasant.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah.
I love that.
that's not a surprise.
I love
Surprise,
that.
surprise.
Yeah. Strangers on a Train is another one where those
Yep.
two characters are like oddly. Well, one
Yeah.
of them is definitely more, interested in the other. The
Criss
Danny
Cross.
DeVito character, crisscross. The Danny DeVito character.
We just caught a little bit of Throw Mama from the Train the other night on Pluto. So good.
Throw Mama from the Train is wild. That movie, I don't understand. That is a time in the 80s when they were making these movies that, like, never in a million years would that just be a light comedy.
And just sort of the
Yeah.
roots of that movie were in
yeah.
a Patricia Highsmith story.
Yeah, that's crazy. Again, today years old when I
Today.
found that out.
Yeah.
Did not know that. But the ending is ambiguous.
Well, you're just left on that shot of Tom.
Yeah.
That he's just
Now
sort
he's
of
back in his room, in his cabin.
He's like
Yeah.
contemplating all of these awful things that he's done.
and you have a bunch of mirrors.
And the world's closing in on him.
Yeah.
and the-
It's like, who does Tom even think he is?
Yeah,
it's the opening shot too.
And also
Yeah.
the opening shot of the title card for The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
There's all of those words that are describing Tom,
Yeah.
and then it lands on talented.
Talented.
adjective.
And there's even that famous Dickie line about, I don't trust people with more than one talent.
Ah,
Which
Everybody
is
should be
smart.
good at one thing.
Yeah, and he lists several, which is neon warning sign, do not trust this person.
right. That's true. Yeah, he did say all those things at the very beginning. So, what does watching The Talented Mr. Ripley as a young homosexual in their teen years?
I did. I
What
was
is this?
watching
What does this kind of inform you about, like, what the future may hold?
it. I honestly just took away the glamour. And
Sure,
cheapness.
same.
I was like, I want to be Tom.
Yeah,
If anything, I just kind of walked away with more an impression of Dickie.
yeah,
Of that,
Yeah.
this is the type of person
asshole.
that I could see myself gravitating to.
Ugh.
Like, you
did it?
kind of
Okay.
get like why Tom does all this shit, because it's for a man just as beautiful as Jude Law.
yeah.
That and he's just so resentful for so many reasons. I mean, yeah, he's self-hating because he's a gay man. He's self-hating because he's poor. He's
Yeah,
self-hating
yeah.
because he murders people. Is it self-hate when you're like if you murder someone and you don't like yourself?
I'm so evil.
Because
Yeah, it counts as self-hate.
yeah, does it? Yeah.
And we mentioned it before, but it was definitely a moment of me being in high school and going to this big Miramax spectacular, like this big Miramax movie with my parents, and the lead character is gay.
Yeah.
That I had just never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah, and the way that they like would film like Jude Law's body and even Matt Damon's body. There's a shot of Matt Damon getting out of the bathtub where you see his whole ass.
There's a little
and
pubic.
Yeah,
some pubes.
Yeah,
some pube blur.
Yeah, totally. And so seeing that in a movie where the only nudity is the male lead, and
My kind of movie.
Yeah, totally.
And this wasn't a movie that I would have to like find on late night cable. Like I just went to this in a movie theater with my parents.
No, and if anything, I think that the studios were just using big names to sell it. Like,
it's
okay.
Using it.
Trust us. It's Matt Damon.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's definitely worth a rewatch if you haven't seen it in a long time.
I think that it gets better with each viewing.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a movie from 1999, but it does not. I mean, the fact that it's a period movie helps it, but it doesn't. It has not aged poorly. Like it feels like still very relevant, and it's not like, oh well, they couldn't do that in a movie now. Like I think they could do everything. They could totally do this.
If anything, you can see a streaming like a 3-episode, 5-episode, 6-episode miniseries.
They're working on a Showtime limited series of this.
Not that I think that's the best direction to go, but you can see that this feels like 3 movies in one almost.
Yeah. Because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But it's well done, and for the time, it's like that's what you did. You had a 2.5-hour movie. You didn't have like a miniseries was not on the table. Yeah,
I have some issues with the casting of this Showtime series because all I've read is just the casting of Tom and Marge and Dickie. That Andrew Scott from Fleabag is going to be playing Tom, which I do not think.
I think these characters need to be in their early 20s.
I think that Dakota would work as Marge, but you need to have an actor in his 20s to be playing both Tom and Dickie.
Right. Well, we'll see. Will we watch it? Maybe.
I'll watch it.
Well,
do we have Showtime? No.
You can watch it with your phone in your hand, Peter. It'll be fine.
There you go. Second screen. And then my iPad on my lap.
Yeah.
Third screen.
Yeah.
That's the only casting. I mean, Dakota Fanning, she's like 20 years younger than this guy.
Yeah.
He's my age, dude.
I don't know if it really works.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
The kid who's playing Dickie's young. No, he's not. 1983, he's old too. He's
What's
an old
old?
bag.
And also, we mentioned it before, but these Miramax movies of this time, because Miramax is kind of a sore subject with Hollywood right now, but Miramax was a huge deal around the time of this movie, and this is like the height of it all.
It is 99.
And studios really don't shell out the cash for movies like these anymore.
Right.
No, this would be made on the cheap on a streamer, and they'd try to make it look luxe, but it probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Although you never know. Sometimes they invest, but I feel like this kind of film wouldn't be made today.
Not like this.
No. And even at the time, it felt like a throwback to the Hitchcockian.
Of course, yeah.
It feels like a 40s movie, but interpreted in the late 90s because it has more nudity. It has a little more edge. But it's sort of done in the style of a 40s film with like a 90s edge.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio turning down the role of Tom? I read that today.
Oh, okay.
Happy that he turned it down?
He probably would have been a decent Tom Ripley, I think.
A little too on the nose. I don't know.
It would have felt, I think, at the time for his career, maybe it felt a little too... Although, I don't know.
And then I was reading that Mangala cast Matt Damon after seeing Good Will Hunting because he felt that the actor had the right mix of credibility, warmth, and generosity.
You want someone who seems trusting, and like Matt Damon feels, I guess, trusting.
Yeah. I guess I like Matt Damon's casting in this. I'm not like the biggest fan of his. I don't dislike him by any means. I'm not like, fuck that Matt Damon. But I'm just not like a big Matt Damon fan. But
I mean, it seems like every year or so, Matt Damon has some stupid thing that he says.
Yeah, he is starting to say some weird shit online. But
Like your dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting into weird dad territory. But hey, isn't he still married to that wife of his?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's good.
The waitress that he met on the set of Stuck on You.
There you
Wow.
go. Yeah. Hollywood romance.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there. So that's something. But yeah, I mean, just get out of here with this casting.
I
Really,
know.
really,
Yeah,
really
it's
good
great.
job with everybody.
It's like Avengers
Yes.
casting.
Yeah.
This is like the Avengers of 1999.
Yeah. And I think that like Gwyneth Paltrow and Cate Blanchett in particular just play this glamorous
Yes.
waspy lady like to a T. You know, they have those faces and those personas. It just works really well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's reasons why Cate won her Oscar playing Katharine Hepburn and
Yeah.
then later Blue Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if only we could all just have the problems of the rich white people.
Exactly.
Give me those problems any day. But hey, I mean, we've got The Talented Mr. Ripley from 1999, and it's a great movie, and we definitely recommend.
It goes
for
on
sure
and off
going.
streaming.
It does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's either on Prime or
It should be on Paramount Plus, right?
It should be.
Yeah.
Is it? Let me.
I don't know.
Yeah, because this was a co-production between Miramax and Paramount.
Co-pro.
So that doesn't always mean because Paramount Plus is still growing.
that means it's
their-
mixed rights, so
Yeah.
it probably is a nightmare to license. Or
Yeah. So let's see.
I assume one handled international, one handled domestic.
Yeah, it's not currently on any streaming services right now without subscription. But hey, you can always rent it for $3.
And it's worth $3.99.
I mean, come
Do
on.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally worth it.
I own the Blu-ray.
There you
Indeed. Does anyone have any final
Any
thoughts on the
parting
talented
thoughts?
Mr. Ripley?
We covered a lot.
We did. We covered so much.
This was a good episode.
Yeah, if I do say so myself. Yeah, and we're kind of on good timing for this episode too. Well, this has been a lot of fun recapping.
We always love
this
having you on the
Always.
show. You're one of my favorite
Yeah.
guests.
I'm ready to
Definitely.
come back. I want to do. I always have my my whisper campaign for what I would come back for.
Awesome. Well, I mean, we would be glad to have you on again for
Yes.
something else.
You've done some of my favorite episodes of the show.
Yay.
Yes, indeed.
That's always lovely to hear.
Yes, but everybody out there, go and find Talented Mr. Ripley at your local Redbox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'll be around.
Red pot. I mean, that's like trying to. I mean, how old is that film now? It's almost 30 years old. No.
20.
Movies over 20.
It can buy
22.
alcohol and
Yeah,
cigarettes.
This movie could definitely buy. It can't rent a car yet.
Oh, okay.
Let's get in
Then
there.
yeah.
I didn't like that when a few years ago when it was 2019 and you saw all of these retro specs of the great movies from 1999, including that book, Best Movie Year Ever, The Talented Mr. Ripley was hardly ever mentioned in all of
yeah.
it.
Lame. Mm-hmm. Well, we're changing that right now.
We gave it its
We're
due.
making history.
We did.
But I think it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much, Mike.
Always happy to be here.
Yes,
Bye.
indeed. Bye. And thank you so much for listening, everybody. Talented Mr. Ripley.
Love this movie.
Go
Good
watch
episode.
it. Go watch it. Yeah. Thanks again to Mike Morgan for coming on our show. It's that time in the episode. We've got some thank yous, some Patreon shout outs.
Yay.
For all of our wonderful patrons. We'd like to say, hey, what's up to Charlie, Heather, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Don, Josh, Emma, Melly, Aaron, Melinda, Jim, Jessica, John, Nick, Christine, and Rufino.
Thank you for being a friend.
If you would like to check out our Patreon, there's some really great stuff over there. Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay.
So I've been doing a new thing when editing the episodes that when we go a little long, I'll do 2 cuts of the episode. I'll do one that is unedited with all of our fun tangents in it.
Yeah. Because we can talk about random stuff.
'Cause we can talk
And
about random
sometimes
shit.
we do.
And it's kind of fun. I'll have the long episode on Patreon and
Yeah.
then kind of one that's a little more of that a manageable length that is the main episode to listen
we like
to.
to keep it about 90 minutes for all you lovelies listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. But there's going to be some uncut extended episodes over on Patreon along with our Watch With Us commentary tracks. And hey, also, if you love those Watch With Us commentary tracks, or if you're not sure yet about our Patreon, we're going to be doing a free Watch With Us commentary track. So you don't have to actually subscribe to the Patreon, but for our 100th episode extravaganza, we will be including some extra additional material. So over on our Patreon, we will have the free Watch With Us commentary track for 10 Things I Hate About You. So you'll have to go to the Patreon to listen, but it will be free. You don't have to be a Patreon subscriber. But if you like it, you can listen to all of our other Watch With Us commentary tracks, as well as the extended episodes, our monthly newsletter, postcards, shout-outs, all that great stuff. So keep an eye out for our Patreon and all that fun stuff. And speaking of our 100th
Speaking of the 100th episode, I have our guest lined up for the episode
yes, indeed.
of episode 100, and we are going to be talking about Dirty Dancing.
Yay!
With Patrick Swayze.
We love Dirty Dancing. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, I kind of wanted episode 100 to be something special, and I feel like Dirty Dancing is a good fit.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's going to be a lot of fun. So keep your eyes peeled for our 100th episode when that comes up. We're going to be doing Dirty Dancing.
It's in the next episode.
Oh, my goodness. 100 episodes, you guys. I can't even believe it. Thanks for listening to all of them. You guys, so great. But we would also love it if you would rate and review this wonderful podcast. Our
Give us 5 stars.
Star ratings are going up. Thank you so much. You guys are actually doing it. Head over to Apple Podcasts and smash the 5-star rating button. We'd also love it if you would leave a review. We'll read it on the air. We read a couple of reviews recently, and if you write us a new one, we'll read it there. So check it out. We would like for you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Facebook and Instagram at Movies That Made Us Gay.
And Twitter at MTMUGPod.
There you go. My name's Pete. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Peter Lasagna, and I'm also on Letterboxd as at Peterific.
And I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, Oscar Scott on Twitter, and just Scott Youngbauer on Letterboxd. See what I'm watching.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.